Welcome to your channel, No One, where we dive deep into the realms of wisdom and inspiration. In a world filled with challenges and uncertainties, simple words can serve as beacons of light, guiding us on the right path. Today, we will explore 100 profound quotes from some of the greatest thinkers, poets, and philosophers, words that carry invaluable lessons and deep experiences. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world of inspiration and reflection, as each quote invites us to think and reassess our journeys. Let's embark on this enlightening journey together. The Greek philosopher Aristotle said, "Wisdom begins with questioning." The Arab poet Al-Mutanabbi said, "If you dare for a noble honor, do not settle for anything less than the stars." The Egyptian scientist Ahmed Zewail said, "Science is the path to progress." The French writer Victor Hugo said, "Freedom is the right of every human being." The German philosopher Nietzsche said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." The Imam al-Shafi'i said, "Learning has no shame in it." The Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish said, "On this earth, there is what deserves life." The French philosopher Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." The American thinker Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm." The Indian philosopher Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." The Egyptian writer Tawfiq al-Hakim said, "Life is a struggle, and those who do not strive do not live." The English poet William Shakespeare said, "Time is the most precious thing a man can own." The Chinese philosopher Confucius said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." The British scientist Stephen Hawking said, "We should be curious." The Iraqi poet Badr Shakir al-Sayyab said, "I am the one who the blind man looked at in my poetry." The French philosopher Voltaire said, "Freedom is the right of every human being." The Russian writer Leo Tolstoy said, "Love is the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend." The Arab poet Nizar Qabbani said, "Love is not just a word, it is a deep feeling." The Greek philosopher Plato said, "Justice is the system that governs society." The American inventor Thomas Edison said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." The English poet John Keats said, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty." The French thinker Michel Foucault said, "Power is not something you own, it is a relation." The Spanish philosopher Seneca said, "There is nothing greater than man in the mind of man." The American writer Ernest Hemingway said, "Courage is grace under pressure." The Arab poet Ibn Zaydun said, "I love you with a love that if you loved like it, I would have lost it." The Italian philosopher Bruno said, "The mind is man's tool to achieve his dreams." The English poet William Wordsworth said, "Nature is a source of inspiration." The American scientist Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "The journey is the goal." The Indian philosopher Adi Shankara said, "The mind is man's best friend." The American writer Mark Twain said, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." The Iraqi poet Fadwa Tuqan said, "The heart has its reasons which reason knows not." The French philosopher Sartre said, "Existence precedes essence." The Russian writer Dostoevsky said, "Beauty will save the world." The American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." The Arab poet Khalil Gibran said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself." The American writer F. Scott Fitzgerald said, "The loneliest moment in someone's life is when they are watching their whole world fall apart." The English poet T.S. Eliot said, "Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go." The German philosopher Hegel said, "Nothing great in the world has ever been accomplished without passion." The Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore said, "You can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water." The Arab poet Abu Nuwas said, "The wine of love has no comparison." The Greek philosopher Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. The English novelist Virginia Woolf said, "For most of history, Anonymous was a woman." The French poet Baudelaire said, "Genius is the ability to renew one's emotions in daily experience." The American author Maya Angelou said, "You will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated." The Russian writer Anton Chekhov said, "Any idiot can face a crisis. It's this day-to-day living that wears you out." The English philosopher John Stuart Mill said, "He who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that." The Spanish painter Pablo Picasso said, "Every act of creation is first an act of destruction." The Indian philosopher Chanakya said, "There is some self-interest behind every friendship. There is no friendship without self-interests." The American poet Emily Dickinson said, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul." The German philosopher Immanuel Kant said, "Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life." The Russian author Leo Tolstoy said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself." The Arab philosopher Al-Farabi said, "Happiness is the goal of all human life." The English writer J.K. Rowling said, "It is our choices, far more than our abilities, that show what we truly are." The Indian leader Jawaharlal Nehru said, "At the dawn of history, India started on her unending quest." The French novelist Marcel Proust said, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." The American author Ernest Hemingway said, "The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them." The Greek philosopher Epicurus said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." The Egyptian writer Naguib Mahfouz said, "The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence." The English poet William Blake said, "What is now proved was once only imagined." The Arab philosopher Ibn Rushd said, "The goal of knowledge is not to know, but to act." The Indian poet Sarojini Naidu said, "We end today a period of ill fortune, and India discovers herself again." The American writer Walt Whitman said, "Keep your face always toward the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you." The German composer Ludwig van Beethoven said, "Music is the mediator between the spiritual and the sensual life." The Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky said, "Man is what he believes." The English author C.S. Lewis said, "You can make anything by writing." The French philosopher Michel de Montaigne said, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." The American singer-songwriter Bob Dylan said, "The times they are a-changin'." The Indian author Arundhati Roy said, "Another world is not only possible, she is on her way." The Arab poet Khalil Gibran said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself." The Greek philosopher Aristotle said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." The English writer George Orwell said, "In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." The Russian author Anton Chekhov said, "Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice." The American author Toni Morrison said, "If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down." The Spanish poet Federico Garcia Lorca said, "The poet is a liar who always speaks the truth." The Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever." The French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir said, "One is not born but rather becomes a woman." The American author Ray Bradbury said, "You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them." The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The Egyptian novelist Ahdaf Soaif said, "The future is not a gift, it is an achievement." The English poet W.H. Auden said, "We are all here on earth to fart around. Don't let anybody tell you any different." The Italian poet Dante Alighieri said, "The darkest places in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality in times of moral crisis." The Russian author Leo Tolstoy said, "The sole meaning of life is to serve humanity." The American poet Robert Frost said, In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. The French author Victor Hugo said, "Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise." The Indian author Salman Rushdie said, "A poet's work is to name the unnameable." The British author Virginia Woolf said, "For most of history, Anonymous was a woman." The American leader Barack Obama said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time." The Spanish artist Salvador Dalí said, "Have no fear of perfection, you'll never reach it." The German writer Hermann Hesse said, "Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go." The Egyptian poet Ahmed Fuad Negm said, "The pen is mightier than the sword." The American writer Kurt Vonnegut said, "We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be." The English writer Jane Austen said, "It is not what we say or think that defines us, but what we do." The Indian philosopher Swami Vivekananda said, "Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached." The French poet Paul Valéry said, "The trouble with our times is that the future is not what it used to be." The Russian writer Anton Chekhov said, "If you want to work on your art, work on your life." The American author Neil Gaiman said, "The world always seems brighter when you've just made something that wasn't there before." The Arab poet Al-Kansa said, "Grief is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of love." The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "Change is the only constant in life." The English writer Charles Dickens said, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another." The French philosopher René Descartes said, "The use of reason is to establish what is true." The Indian poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." The American author Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." The Spanish philosopher José Ortega y Gasset said, "Tell me to what you pay attention, and I will tell you who you are." We have reached the end of our journey today through the world of wisdom on your channel, No One. I hope these quotes have touched your hearts and inspired your minds, reminding you that life is filled with opportunities and lessons waiting to be discovered. Remember, wisdom is not just words, it's actions and directions that reflect what we believe in. If you found value in this content, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe, and share your favorite quote in the comments. Let's continue together in spreading inspiration and positive change. Until we meet again in the next video, remember to chase your dreams, for you are the ones who create your future.